This, right? This is the cover art for my latest album, which I recorded about a month ago. If you don't know me, and this is the first video you've seen of mine, first of all, welcome, nice to have you. Second of all, I don't make videos like this, like ever. This is the first time I'm making a video like this. I'm not a photographer or an artist, right? I am, I'm a music artist, right? I'm a musician at heart. But for a change, I decided to kind of channel my creativity into something visual. And the result was this album cover. And I'm really proud of it, you know? I'm really happy with it. So for this week's video, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to kind of break it down and explain the process of how this cover art came to be. If you saw my last video where I talked about the process of recording the album, you'll know that I talked a lot about the idea of rawness, right? By that I mean, in terms of sound, quite unpolished, very physical and very DIY. And the way I kind of got that sound was like recording on cassettes and like 90s equipment and all that jazz. And basically my thought process was every great album has an album cover that reflects the music, right? And I wanted my album to have an album cover that reflected the music. So I wanted an album cover that was quite physical and very DIY, if you know what I mean. Just as long as it wasn't like digital and like perfect, because that just really wouldn't fit the vibe of the music at all. And basically, I'm going to walk you through 3 different influences that influence this album cover art, right? I don't really know what else to say, so let's just begin. In recent years, I've grown pretty fond of collages. It all started about 2 years ago. I was in school doing GCSE photography, right? And for my final piece, I decided to create a big collage. Since then, I've used that collage as cover art for one of my albums, and it now lives literally behind me, duct taped to my wall. In the summer of 2024, when I was recording my album Return to Zero, I became aware of this artist called Isla Evans. Sorry, I almost forgot her name. Isla Evans, and she ended up creating the cover art for the album, right? As seen here, and the back as well. And that's a collage as well. You know, collages are just so cool, and I love them so much. Now, skipping forward to literally last week, I ended up creating the cover art for Nutmo 5's debut album, Dead Stops and False Endings, right? And Nutmo 5 is the band that I drum in, and it looks like that. But anyway, why am I telling you all this? Because collages are cool. They're irregular and they're physical and they're DIY, and that is just everything that the Glinter album is. So naturally, I had to include some kind of collage characteristics into the cover art of this album. So you know that random weird week that happens like between Christmas and New Year's, where kind of like nothing ever happens and you're just like existing? I just kind of thought, what better way to spend a random liminal Monday than with my mate making some cover art for an album, you know? So I recruited the help of my good friend Sam. So we went to some nearby shops and we were kind of like looking for some inspiration and maybe some little trinkets and bits and bobs that would look cool being included with the album cover, you know? Ultimately, we found nothing, but we did stop at Sam's house and collected a couple balls of string. Why? Well, that leads me on to my second point of influence, which is... No, I'm not talking about when Mr. Brimslow stole some bread from Mr. Kingsley and then the next morning he was hanged in front of the whole town for the children's enjoyment. That's weird. Why did I say that? What am I on about? What I'm talking about is the idea of hanging things from the ceiling with string and calling it art. Right? Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I was inspired to do this from a scene from a film called Megamind.
Oh, you're a villain, all right. Just not a super one.
Yeah? What's the difference?
Presentation!
Basically, there's this like journalist woman, right? And she's trying to, I'm not sure what she's trying to do. I think she's like trying to figure out something, and she's got a bunch of clues, and she's hanging all these clues from the ceiling with bits of string, right? And she's kind of all confused, and then she takes a step back and she realizes by looking at all the different hanging things, when they line up, when she takes the right perspective, they line up to create, like, to reveal some sort of information. I can't remember what, but it's really cool, right? And I remember watching it as a kid. It just really inspired me somehow. I just thought it was so cool, like the idea of having a bunch of disconnected things, and then you look at it from a specific angle, and it all makes sense, you know? I tried doing a little bit of research, right, to see if I could find any kind of type of art, like if this had a name, basically, the idea of hanging things and looking at them from a certain perspective, if it had a name. And in the 5 minutes of research that I did, I couldn't really find anything exactly like the Megamind thing. The closest thing I could find was these things called mobiles, right, which is very similar to the kind of thing that you'd put like above a baby's head to make them go to sleep. It's just like a bunch of dangly things, and sometimes if you look at them from a specific perspective, it can look like a picture or like a face or something like that, which is pretty cool. A couple days before the day that Sam came around and we made the album cover art, I kind of came up with an idea myself, just a few like logo ideas for the logo for the fictional band that made this album. You don't have to worry about that, but basically my idea was to get all these kind of like little letters and little fragments and suspend them from the ceiling with little bits of string and kind of like do it in such a fashion where if you looked at it from one angle, it would look really messy and weird, but then you just kind of like turned your head slightly and looked at it in a different angle, and the cover would be that. It would just be a picture of that from that perfect angle. So it's kind of taking the DIY cut out elements of a collage and mixing it with the 3D dangliness of a mobile, putting it together, 3D collage. Very, very cool. So once Sam and I got back home, we got some card and some scissors, and we began cutting away. So I cut out most of the letters, and then he did most of the little fragmented bits that go surrounding the letters, and then after that we attached little bits of string to each individual piece so that we could hang it all up and arrange it exactly how we want it. Now let's talk about the final element of this cover art, and my favourite, you know, and I think it really makes it, which is the idea of... You remember earlier I was talking about that GCSE photography piece, right, when I was talking about collages and stuff? Well, basically, if you look closer at some elements, you'll find that it's me standing there with a picture of various musical equipment being projected onto my own body. You kind of can't really tell when it's all there because it's just like so much is going on. I remember when I was doing the GCSE and we had to like write about it and write about our art and who inspired us. I remember researching about this guy in the 60s who basically started the whole idea of projection photography, like projecting an image onto something else and then taking a photo of it, right? I can't for the life of me remember what his name is, and I think I've lost all of that work that I did, all the research I did surrounding that piece of art that I made. So that's a bit rubbish, isn't it? But pretend that you know his name because I've just told you. He inspired me. But anyway, yeah, I thought it'd be cool to take that idea and implement it into the cover art and have the letters and the fragments kind of hanging there with an image being projected onto them. And then that would be the album cover, right? Just a single perfect photograph with no extras and no edits, just a perfect photo of a perfect setting. So here's how it went, right? So for the picture I was going to project, I chose a picture of my guitar because it's got a really, really cool pattern, right? As I mentioned in my last video when I was talking about how I recorded the whole album, this is the only guitar on the whole album, right? So the whole album is built around this guitar and it really gives it like its own personality, and that's why I knew it just had to be included. Obviously with a pattern like this, like you have to take a picture of it like every 2 seconds anyway. It just had to be included on the cover art because it's such an important part of the album sonically. I wanted it to be important visually as well. This guitar, unsurprisingly, is custom painted and I bought it off eBay from someone called Lil Red Roosty, and I've no idea if they painted it themselves or maybe they just bought it like this and decided it's not for them and sold it on, but I just wanted to thank them for supplying it because it, you know, it's become a big part of my life and it's an incredibly big part of this album, so shout out to them, thank you so much. But anyway, yeah, after spending a frustrating amount of time sticking things to the ceiling and making sure everything was lined up correctly and wouldn't like spin around randomly, we managed to arrange everything in a way that looked really nice. So I stood there holding the projector above my head in the doorway, and Sam basically walked around taking a bunch of different pictures from different angles so that we could just have a look at them all afterwards and decide on one to be the album cover. So this is the photo that we ended up going with, and I absolutely love it. This is the album cover, right? And here are some reasons why I love it. First of all, the string. You see how like vibrant it is. I don't know what kind of, it's like reflective string, and having the projection on it kind of livened it up a lot. I mean, I didn't even look this red in real life. I think that's just the camera making it look a little bit more alive. But I love it. I love it so much. It makes it look like lasers or something. And obviously you've got the whole like 3D collage effect in full motion there. It kind of looks like it's breaking out of the picture down here, of the image here. It's like breaking out, exploding into a million pieces. Glinter! You know, and you've got the shadow here. That's the thing. I didn't even think about the shadow, right? But obviously that's how light works, right? If you put something in front, you're gonna have a shadow of some sort. But I didn't think that, and it's just a happy accident because it just looks so cool. You've got like, you know, the shadow and then the colourful version. It's literally like it has blasted out of the picture and just like into space, you know? So that was just instantly like, that is the one that we're going for. But there was another one, there was actually another photo that we took that almost made the album cover, but I'll show you it, and I'll show you the reasons why this one won and the other one didn't, right? Oh, fuck. And so there you have it. That is how it was made. You know, Sam and I, we're not proper artists and we're not like photographers or anything, but I think regardless, we did a really, really cool job, you know? And I don't know about him, but I'm really proud of it. Like, it's definitely like my favorite cover art that I've ever done for my own kind of music, if you know what I mean. And it's just so great being as musical as I am, stepping away from music for just like a day and making something visual instead. It's really relaxing. It's like, obviously I love making music and I'd never stop, but it's such a nice little thing to shake things up, you know? Now, of course, this is the part where I say this album is coming out on March 7th, because this album is coming out on March 7th, right? If you like 90s indie rock music of any sort, you'll absolutely love it. I guarantee you will love it. Let me just play you a couple songs. I'll play you 3 songs and you're going to fall in love with it. Ready? 1. 2. And ready for it? 3. Yeah, you see what I mean?
So subscribe, you know, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a listening party for the album when it comes out here on YouTube, so we can like all listen to the album together and kind of share our thoughts as it goes. That'll be really fun. Also, let me know what you thought of this video. I know it's not really music related, which is what I usually do, but it's still kind of creative. So if you want more videos about me doing other creative things, let me know. I'm perfectly happy to do anything really, within reason.
If you want to watch the video that I referenced a couple times in this video about how I like wrote and recorded the album, you can watch that here. But even if you don't, thank you for watching this video. See you next week.
I'm falling out of the